Did you know that we could have seen a new I Know What You Did Last Summer film from Mike Flanagan? Let's talk about 5 things you didn't know about I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Before we get into today's list, please make sure to subscribe to this page for more horror content like today's video. Also, check out the merch store to support this page even further. Members get discounted items all summer long, like the Wes Carpenter shirt. I'll also put a big spoiler warning here, as we're about to get into some of the biggest reveals in The Fisherman's latest massacre. Spoilers ahead, my friends, you have been warned. Thing number 1, director Jennifer Caton Robinson is clearly a fan of this era of film, considering her 2022 feature Do Revenge. There's a clear Scream influence, as you can see here in this shot, but there are also tons of references to other late 90s and early 2000s films, like Clueless, Mean Girls, and 10 Things I Hate About You. Do Revenge follows 2 students who have been outcast in different but equally effective ways, and must team up to get revenge on the other's enemy. The concept there is a direct homage to Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train. Robinson is certainly a cinephile, that's for sure. I recommend this movie, man. It was a very fun time. Just months after this flick dropped on Netflix, where you can currently watch it, she pitched the idea for this movie alongside screenwriter Leah McKendrick. A fun little bonus fact about I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025, the screenwriter can be seen during the post-credits sequence as the news reporter on Brandy's TV. She has an excellent newscaster voice, by the way. Game, respect, game. Thing number 2, Jennifer Caton Robinson wanted to follow older characters here, unlike the original. Talking about this with IndieWire, the director said, "I wanted to age up the characters. I didn't want to make a high school movie." I get that, especially with both of the creatives in this movie being in their 30s. They didn't want to write younger characters that may not be as relatable to them now. That, unfortunately, may be this film's fatal flaw. See, there's a reason why so many young people even today still love the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's not just because of the campy lines and great chase sequences, but it's also because we follow characters who are taking a big step in their lives, a relatable one at that, going from high school to college, something that a lot of people end up doing. Throwing that element out here takes a lot away from our new characters and makes them less relatable, therefore less likable. A lot of these new characters come off as dumb, annoying, and insufferable rich kids who don't have a thought brewing behind those eyes, especially Danica and Teddy. I might have sympathized with them a little more if they were portrayed as going through a tough period of one's young life. The other issue I have with this is the new characters are supposed to represent the younger audience experiencing this film in theaters for the first time, while the legacies return for the original fans. Let's be real here, I was more excited to see Jennifer Love Hewitt on screen as well as Freddie Prinze Jr. once again, where the young teenagers that snuck into this movie were probably more hyped up to see Madeline Klein. While this film handles the legacy characters really well, even with that polarizing twist, I just don't love much of what was done with the new characters. There are just some elements to every franchise that you just shouldn't change. Thing number 3, Mike Flanagan and constant collaborator Jeff Howard were supposed to tackle this 4th entry in the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise before it ended up petering out. A script was completed back in the mid-2010s that would have been a whole new take on the murder mystery series. It worked as more of a teenage noir thriller comparable to Rian Johnson's Brick, rather than a straight-up slasher flick, however. So let's run through the plot of this film that never came to be, or at least what we know of it. I'll be fake casting a few well-known actors so that we can push this story along with some visuals. I get comments sometimes when I do this, asking like, why am I looking at Jenna Ortega when you're talking about a Final Destination novel, Jake? Just to clarify, these actors were never actually attached to the project. I'm just kind of fake casting it so we have some visuals here. Hopefully that clears up any confusion. Let's get into this. The film would have followed 4 new characters: lead Matt Canton, his sister Lauren, his best friend Kyle, and his ex-girlfriend Jenna. All of them are on vacation in Antigua after their high school graduation, before they break off to go to different colleges in a few months. During a party at a cave system, Matt flirts with a young woman named Christy Stratton. Kyle drugs Matt in a similar way to how Brooke drops some Molly in Sienna's drink in Terrifier 2. Kyle just wants his bro to unwind or whatever. Seriously, never do this without somebody's consent. This is so awful. Matt and Christy go off into a secluded section of the cave to bone, and that's when the drugs kick in. Matt hallucinates and totally blacks out. When he comes to, he's being interrogated in a police station about Christie's disappearance. This is a crazy setup for a murder mystery, and it only gets more wild. Flash forward to a year later, where Matt is now in a US prison and presumed the perpetrator in Christie's death. His upcoming trial is a major centerpiece of news stations everywhere, including a podcast run by his ex Jenna. The title of the podcast? I Know What You Did Last Summer. Haha, that's fun. Kyle testifies against Matt, which certainly makes him seem suspicious, and Christie Christie's heartbroken father Donald leads the trial against him. Matt ends up going free after being found not guilty, but he's still being threatened by Donald Stratton and his right-hand man Porter. This herring is certainly red. That's when Matt starts to get creepy, cryptic messages as old and as iconic as 1973, "I know what you did last summer." After a few of the characters are chased and murdered by a mysterious hooded fisherman killer, the ending reveal is allegedly shocking. Although the ending hasn't been revealed to the public, co-writer Jeffrey Howard said of it, "The entire thing in our minds was designed around a really cool trick ending that got us really excited. Like a real witness for the prosecution style nod of an ending where something comes in and blows things up in a way that you could have seen it all along, but you never would have seen it. That kind of deal." It was just so much fun, but it was a big controversial ending from the very moment of the pitch. Literally, I think 99% of the interest from me and Mike was that ending. It was really cool to us. That ending unfortunately ended up being changed by the studio, which is why the interest in making this movie ultimately waned. Jeff Howard tells Bloody Disgusting why this entry never got made, saying, "It's hard to understand why some things get made and some things don't sometimes. This thing was kind of easy to understand. Nobody was wrong in the situation in my mind. Once it became clear that the ending was going to be softened, I think the interest in making the movie softened in tandem." I've said a lot of negative things about the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I do appreciate the fact that they took a big swing with the ending of this movie. It might not have worked for me, but it was ambitious, and we have to applaud that no matter how cringe it kind of ends up being. I respect I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025, and I think I definitely have a slightly better opinion of it as I've sat with the movie for a couple of days, but ultimately I still just don't have so much love for this one. I really wish I did though. Speaking of that, thing number 4, the requel's twist ending here is kind of a recycled sequel idea from long ago. Mike Menendez, director of The Convent, originally pitched a sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer where Ray would have become the killer. Chatting with Bloody Disgusting about this, Menendez said, "From what I remember, my concept was basically this. Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, Julie James, went off to college. It was playing off of that thing that Freddie Prinze Jr. Ray says to her in the first movie. Something like, 'I'll always be there, I'll always be watching over you.' Something like that. It's actually kind of creepy the way he says it." The full twist gets a little convoluted, however, as Ben Willis, the original film's killer, and Ray Bronson would have been both revealed as the fisherman. What makes it interesting, though, is that they would have been working separately to both take out Julie. Neither of them seem to understand the concept of "the enemy of my enemy is my friend." Menendez explains that it ends in kind of an homage to Child's Play 3, in a big funhouse with both killers trying to get her. But they also hate each other, so the killers would be popping up trying to fight each other, as well as still trying to get her. I wanted to make it a big zany set piece that had lots of scares. I do remember making a video reel of it using lots of clips from the funhouse and Child's Play 3. Now that sounds like some camp right there, baby. Now this twist ending does come off as absolutely outrageous, but is that so out of place for this franchise? I mean, it's a better twist than Ben's son, which I think most twists are. Like I said earlier, the more I sit with that requel's ending though, the more I kinda like it. Hell, I think I would even go so far as to say it's the best twist ending of this entire franchise. It does feel a little pessimistic for this series to say that victims of any variety could become abusers down the line, but they do manage to keep the tone light and fun towards the end. The thing that still doesn't work for me though is I don't feel that Ray was that good of a villain. I never really felt like he was all that evil like one of our many ghost faces from the franchise that this entry wanted so badly to be a part of. There's hardly any setup to this either besides a conversation between Julie and Ray about how it's tough to deal with trauma. There's no hint at Ray being even slightly insidious throughout this entire movie up until the very end. I said it in my review and I'll say it again here, the best twist endings are ones that are both obvious but hidden in plain sight. A shining example of this is Billy Loomis from the original Scream film. It's not an easy thing to do, however, and I respect this requel for trying out something ambitious. And finally, thing number 5, let's spill a little tea about some behind the scenes drama, or the lack thereof. Jennifer Love Hewitt has cleared up that there's never been a feud between her and co-star Sarah Michelle Gellar recently. Chatting with Vulture, Jennifer Love Hewitt admits that she really hasn't spoken to Sarah Michelle Gellar since I Know What You Did Last Summer debuted in 1997. She confirms that the two don't hate each other though, saying, "I honestly don't even know what that was or how that all came to be. I just think people don't want the narrative to be easy. Why do we always have to be against each other and out for each other?" I haven't seen Sarah. Literally, we've not talked since I saw her at 18 years old when the first movie came out. That's why it's so funny to me. People were like, "Say something back," and I'm like, what am I going to say? I've not seen her. On my side, we're good. I have no idea where this is coming from. I want to end this video on a positive note and say that whether you loved this film or you absolutely hated it, we gotta gotta respect each other's movie opinions, man. I also tried to keep my review of this movie like really light and silly. I mean, I literally said that one of the characters, if you shaved their heads, would have a pentagram of dicks up there like Damien from The Omen. That's clearly supposed to be a joke. I thought maybe we could have a sense of humor about this kind of thing, but it seems that a lot of folks are just very passionate about this and taking it to extremes, which sucks. So I'm sorry if anyone took offense to that. I was up in the drama a little bit because I thought that would be fun. Do I hate this film and the people that made it? No, I'm not spiteful like that. And honestly, I really enjoyed Jennifer Caton Robinson's previous flick, Do Revenge. That was one of the many reasons why I was super excited for this one, but unfortunately, it just didn't work for me. Let's keep things positive down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for that. What did you guys think of the new I Know What You Did Last Summer film? Well, we'll be talking spoilers for it Monday night on this channel at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss that stream, and maybe you'll convince me that this is actually a banger. Thank you all for watching, please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.